So let's do this quickly. So we're asked to write a program which asks the user for a year and print out the next leap year. So it means it's asking for a year and then want to print out the next leap year, asking user for a year. So it means the first thing or the first variable is the current year. That is the year that the computer is asking the user. So let's call that current year. So current year, because it's asking users, going to be input, you know this already, and then the prompt inside here, I think the prompt is year. Now, but because it's asking for a number, so we have to wrap everything around an integer. So it means integer input year. So that is the current year. So what about the next year? So for example, if you are in 2023, next year is going to be 2024, which means 2024 means 2023 plus 1, and 2025 means 2023 plus 2. Oh, and then 2026 means 2023 plus 3. So it means this value, we need to find a way to save it, or we need to find a way to capture this value. So we can use these values, we can use a variable to capture these values. So we can say this number, the number that we are adding to 2022, that number, or to 2023, that number, or let's say we're adding 1, we're adding 1. We added 1, and then we added 1 to 2024, we added 1 to 2025, we added 1 to 2026. So for example, when we added 1 to 2023, it gave us 2024. If we are going to 2025 from 2023, it means we are going to add 1 and add 1 again. So if you are going to 2026 from 2023, it means we are going to add 1, and add 1. So that 1, let's store it in a variable. So this is the 1, 1, 1 that they were adding. For example, what I mean is that we add 1 plus 1 here, and then here we added 1 plus 1 plus 1. So it means there's a variable which is 1 that we are just adding to current year. So that variable, I store it in number here. So what about next year now? If next year is so if next year, for example, is 2024, so it means it's going to be current year plus 1. But since we have number, so just a current year plus number. So this is the next year now, since 1 has been stored in number. So the next statement is current year plus number. Now we have all these 3 already: the current year, the number, the next year. So we want to use these variables now in our problem. So let me just remove all this. Now we want to look through the year, because we don't know the year that is the user will supply, so we have to look through it. So we need to look through it until the computer gets the right answer, and then it will stop. It means it will break out of the loop when it gets the right answer. It will keep asking until you give it the right answer. So that is what they expect us to do here. Now so in that case, we are going to use while loop, and it will be while true. So while true means it's keep the code will keep running until it gets the right answer, or it gets something to stop the code from running. So remember, you can put it in a bracket. I like it because I think I get used to this because of JavaScript, but in Python you don't need this. You can just write it this way. So while true. So if the current year want to check, I think I like to put it in brackets. While true. So remember, we use code block in Python. So if we want to check the next year now, so this one, this code I'm writing now is the code from the previous question that was asking you about leap year. So we want to check if the next year is leap year. Remember, the question says write a program that asks you for a year and print out the next leap year. So we need to know whether the next year is a leap year before it can be printed out. So that is the question now. So if next year, remember we have it already, if next year is leap year, to be a leap year, remember it has to be divisible by 4. So if next year is divisible by 4, that is next year modulo 4 is 0, and next year modulo 100, that is if it's divisible by 4 and also divisible by 100, so it means it is a leap year. But we cannot confirm that it is a leap year until we check if that year again is divisible by 400. Remember, so we'll go ahead again and say if next year, that next year again, if it is divisible by 400, then that next year is a leap year. So we've confirmed that it's a leap year now. Since we know now that it is a leap year, let's print that it is a leap year. So I'm using F formatting here. The next leap year after this current year, after the current year, is the next year that we just got now, is next year. So this is perfect now. We're done with this. Otherwise, break out of the loop. So sorry, when you get this correct, just break out of the loop. Otherwise, if this is wrong, that is if this is not true, if it is true, break out of the loop. If it is not true, then else. If this is not true, then take another year. Take the year after this. So it means we need to add another 1 to the number. So number plus equals 1. So we're adding, for example, if the number is 1 before, it means it's checking whether 2024 is a leap year. But if 2024 is not a leap year, then add 1 to 2024 to be 2025. So that is what we are trying to do here. If it's a leap year, it will break. But if it's not a leap year, it will add 1 to that 2024 and then to become 2025 and go back up again to check, because we say while true, keep running. That is what this while true means. So I make my my code better now. Python does not like all these brackets except where the bracket is needed. So I remove it already. So while through, if next year modulo 4 is 0 and next year modulo 100 is 0, that is if next year divisible by 4 and 100, check whether it is divisible by 400 as well. If divisible by 400, it means it is a leap year, and then break because we found it. Otherwise, add 1 to that next year. So for example, if next year is 2024, add 1 to it to become 2025. So when you do that, check again. But if all the condition here is false, so that is why I want to put another else here, elif now. So if all the condition up, if they are false, then then check whether next year modulo 4 is what? Is 0. That is, if next year modulo 4 is not divisible by 100, that is, if next year, which is divisible by 4, is not divisible by 100, so it means all the code here will not run. This if will not run, it will just jump to a leaf. So it will jump to the next line of code. Now, if you find out that that year is divisible by 4, so it means that year is a leap year. So I will just copy and paste it there. So it means a leap year. Also break out of the loop since you've confirmed that it's a leap year. Otherwise, so take another year again. So number plus equals 1. Take another year again. So this is the code. I believe this code will run correctly. So let's check. Let's check the code. Error running Python script path must be set. I have it already. So this is a path. So what's the problem? Okay, so we have it down here. Let me move it up. Process finished with code. So I want to run it. So it's asking for the year now. So let's say the current year is 2023. So it's the next leap year after 2023 is 2024. Let's try it and run it again. Let's say that this year is 500. So what's the problem now? So this is not running. So let me put 500 again. I wonder why it's not running. It means there's a problem up here. So let me check. Stop. And then let's check the code. So why true? If next year modulo 4 is 0 and next year modulo 100 is 0. So check if next year modulo 400 is also 0. So if it is 0, then print current year is next year and break out of the loop. Otherwise, add 1 to the number. Okay. Else, that is a leaf. If the next year modulo 4 is 0, print next leap year after the current year is next year, and then break out of the loop. Otherwise, add 1 to the number again and go back up. Go back up and then solve the problem for us. Yeah, so everything is okay. Everything is perfect. I can put the next year. So the code runs. So there's the problem before. The next year has to be declared inside the while loop. So remember, I declared the next year here before. So the problem is that when everything is false here, and then number it, and the computer will add 1 to the current number. So and then remember, computer is asking you for the current year, which is outside of the loop. In fact, I'm supposed to put this onto inside of the loop. So this is outside of the loop. It's asking you for that year again. So, and then it wants to add 1 to something outside of the loop. The 1 is within the loop, and then we're adding it to something outside of the loop. So it will not be able to reach that. So that is why we need to put the next year within the loop. So that's why I put it within the loop. So when we run it now, if you run it now, it should be okay. So let's put 500 again. So the next leap year after 500 is 504. Try with year 1204. So the next year is 1208. So, and that is how to solve the problem. I used the code that we wrote for leap year. That's what I use inside here. I just add this condition to it to check, as in to check to get the next year. So if you put 2024 and it's not 2024, then add 1 to it to become 2025, and then check it again. If it's not 2025, add 1 to it to become 2026. Keep checking until you get the leap year. So that's how to solve the problem. Thank you.